everybody, and welcome to Money Management with a special podcast session with the K&K team from San Diego and my very own wife, Lena, who's joining me for the first time since I figured we'll match up, wife and husband.
Couple session.
That's right. There you go. All about residual income, passive income, cash flow. I always like to, start off by kind of talking about what gets us going on a personal level. And I'll let you guys go real quick, obviously, as you guys are the guests, and then we'll let you know what really drives us on a day-to-day.
Well, I can say, at least for me, I started doing multifamily financing when I was 19. So I kind of got to see, it felt like my clients were never working, but somehow they were making all this money and they were enjoying their life. They were always on vacation. They never seemed like they were really working. They're just running around, having lunch with people, driving properties. And I thought, well, I want a life like that. So that kind of got me started and how I wanted that. But then of course, we got married and we had kids. And so now for us, it's about, we always talk about generational wealth, but generational wealth is not just, cash flow that we can pass on to our kids so that they don't have to worry or that they're set up for their life, but it's also about learning how to manage money. There's kind of that knowledge aspect as well, so that they understand how money works and they know how to not only just receive the money, but how to keep it going and how to build off of what we have already built for them. I think the earlier we can learn, I know that I didn't have that class in school. So I think the earlier we can teach our kids to be financially free and to understand what that means and, assets and liabilities and cash flow and all of that, then the sooner that they can succeed.
What about Kenny?
What gets me motivated or how we got in or both?
Both, just pretty much what drives you and how did you get into it?
Yeah, I mean, look, we live in San Diego. When we're filming right now, we're in Miami. So
nice.
We're literally spending a month in Miami. I rented a vacation house here. I have family here. So what it really comes down to for us is freedom. So as we sit here and do this today, technology and Zoom, but we're making money while we're here. Our business is going, we have teams. So I think really for me, what motivates me is that I can get up and I can do whatever I want, wherever I want, and I can still give good service. And that's super motivating. And I get to spend a lot of time with my kids and family. And look, like I said, we're traveling the world and we love what we do. And what got me into financing, I think I always wanted to get into real estate. I didn't know what aspect. And 2004, I got an opportunity and jumped in and just kind of never looked back. And the longer I've gone with my career, I think the more it's turned out first just doing loans. Then it turned out to building the business. And now what I realized that doing this 17 years and all this stuff in real estate, we're more advisors for people. So it's not like, hey, let me do your loan. It could be somebody the first time buying their home, but also somebody buying their first investment property, their 10th investment property. I feel like this stage in both of our lives with all the financing and things we've done, we're able to advise a lot of people on a lot of different things. So for me, that's the role I play. And we're able to help a lot of people. And it's kind of a passion. We love what we do.
That's amazing. And it's really amazing that you guys, understand and live it on a day-to-day, on a weekly or a monthly basis, as far as a balanced life, as far as, trying to help out these investors, these young entrepreneurs, or even individuals that are switching careers and finally are looking at the exit strategy. All of us at some point in our life, we try to figure out, well, how am I not going to have to go to that job that hopefully I like doing, and I can tell you that for us, very similar to you guys, what drives us is our, 3 kids and being able to obviously show them a way to hopefully benefit themselves with what it is that they can be best at, as of course, they're receiving residual income checks. At the end of the day, when we were talking about the types of properties you guys specifically invest in, and we went over multifamily with bigger projects, everybody likes to receive checks. So at the end of the day, residual income is key. And I can tell you that being passionate and being able to advise and help people, I deal mostly with commercial real estate, started off with residential real estate, but I've been in the commercial arena now for about 2 decades. My wife, Lena, she's with Compass actually, and I don't have to tell you how many, hours and special moments she has to have with her clients just to help them get to where they want to get. So at the end of the day, it really boils down to us wanting to benefit everybody around us. And at the same token, of course, everybody wants to get paid. So we're looking for residual income.
Listen, I mean, making the check at the end of the day isn't the most challenging part. If you want to lead by example, if you want to teach your kids, it's a lot easier to just write that check, have your kid put it on the credit card, but actually giving them the tools that they need to succeed like you guys are, it speaks volumes. To lead by example is amazing. And then if you take it a step further and you pass it on to your clients as well as your kids, it's an amazing thing,
I agree.
I think when you really love what you do too, I've always kind of found that, the money follows, right? So when you're helping people and you're doing something good and you're doing what you love, the money's sort of a side effect of all of that. So we don't worry about the money as much as we do just doing a really good job and making sure that we're still in love with what we do. Because I think that it's that passion that kind of drives us to keep teaching our kids and to help our clients. And, we kind of like eat, sleep, and breathe real estate. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. And that mindset makes you successful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's funny as we got older, when you woke up, it was more about first collecting a check and I need to get the commission because you're like focused on just surviving and paying bills. And then it gets to a point where you're like, man, I'm working to buy another deal, but also as I'm waking up and like, who do I get to help today? Who do I get to have a great conversation with today? Whatever it is. And I always tell people, clients, I go, look, we've been fortunate enough to do, a couple $1 billion of financing. And I said, we get to talk to 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 50, 60, 70, 80-year-olds, literally almost 90-year-olds. And I said, the conversation, as you guys know, as you change, it changes with yourself, with your significant other, with your kids. And I always tell people, look, when you're 30 years old, I promise you, you're not going to look back when you're 60 and go, man, I wish I'd have bought 4 more Rolexes and 7 more cars and a bigger house. You're going to be like, I should have invested more and done things differently. So we just try to really have these conversations with young people. I'm like, look, the conversation is going to change and how you think about things. So I try to hit them with reality sooner than later.
And just looking back on your life when you're older, you just don't want to live with those regrets or, living like, for example, we see our parents or other family members who are, can't even retire. They're at retirement age, but they still have to work. So for me and Kenny, we look at that and we go, okay, that's not going to be us. And how do I back into not having that be our situation, not having that be our kid's situation?
Exactly.
That's amazing. And the fact that you guys were able to make the shift and really get there sooner than others, that obviously where you're able to benefit by optimizing your time. You're able to do what you want to do when you want to do it, which, whenever anybody asks us, why are you doing this? Specifically because of that.
Exactly.
Literally. So as far as, specifically the types of multifamily that you guys are going after in San Diego area and potentially other areas, what are, a few tips, a few traps that you're seeing young investors really fall into as they're trying to make the shift from maybe duplexes, triplexes into bigger 15, 20 units, 40 units? The biggest obstacles that they're running into, whether it's finances, whether it's management, whether it's, knowing the product. What are you guys seeing? And then, other than, of course, COVID, with what's happened in the last year and a half, how do you see COVID affecting these new obstacles that are obviously right here, right now, and potentially opportunities? These could be obviously opportunities for investors that know the marketplace.
Well, I think from a financing perspective, the biggest hurdle that I see with people trying to make that cross from residential to multifamily is loan amounts. So people are used to going from residential and going, okay, well, I need a 75% loan. And I'm like, well, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get that. I mean, we're in Southern California where cap rates are really low. And honestly, they're getting compressed all over the country. So generally the lower the cap rate, the more money you're going to have to put down. So somebody comes to me with a property, their first apartment deal they want to buy, and they go, okay, I'm going to put 25% down. And I run the numbers and I go, well, I ran the numbers and you actually have to put 35% down. So then they end up backing down and going to that 4-unit again before trading up. So I see that. And then just kind of the mindset needs to be a lot different than when you're buying residential. I mean, the financing is different. The way that you value properties is different. There's a lot more opportunity with multifamily, but a lot of people are scared of taking that next step. It's just like buying your first residential property. It's really hard and it's really challenging, but there's a lot less people doing multifamily. So I feel like I see a lot of people going back to fourplexes before they go to that 5, 7, 10-unit building. It's just a little bit of a scary step for people.
I would say, the biggest thing that we've learned from management, financing, everything is I always tell people the most important part of, I think, just investing in real estate is who's on your team. And I think if you have the right players on your team, it's very helpful. And that goes from the right property manager to the right broker, to the right lender, to the right CPA, and the list can go on and on. So I think what people are running into is, let's take Southern California, for example, is, you bought a property, you could be dealing with tenants not paying, you could be dealing with some new rent control guidelines and stuff. You don't know how to deal with it. You bought with an assumption, well, I'm going to buy and vacate the building. And now you're not able to do that because laws change. But and it's all these things that pop up. And I always tell people, the people that we get to learn from our mentors is the reason why these people are so successful, because the people on their team, they have the right players, they have the real estate attorney to call. There's a CPA to call to get the advantages for taxes. So I think the pitfall a lot of people buy is they go buy a 4-unit, a 20-unit, whatever it is, but they don't have anybody right on their team. So when they're making decisions, they're literally making it based off how they feel or what they want to do. And they're not really able to run it by a professional or somebody that's really done this for a long time. Just like Krystle said with the lender, they just assume I'll just put 25% down and I can go get a loan. I mean, how hard can this be? And they don't realize they're buying by the beach, where most people have to put, 50 to 60% down. So that's really, I think the pitfalls could always be there if not. And especially when you're in an environment like this where people aren't paying and things are changing rapidly, it's going to be harder and harder. And when you start making bad decisions, it seems like it just can spiral out of control. Next thing you know, you got an underperforming asset, you can't pay your mortgage, and then now you're looking at severe consequences.
Yeah, and we always say know your numbers, so you got to really run your numbers and know your numbers. I think for me, this market gets a little bit scary when you have a lot of first-time buyers trying to buy, because you kind of get in this trap of like, well, it's going to be worth more next month than it is today. Right. But that's not necessarily true. The numbers have to work, and you have to use stress tests, and you have to be conservative. And if you don't do that, you can get yourself in trouble.
Is there a bad time to buy? What do you guys think?
I feel like with multifamily that I haven't known of a bad time to buy multifamily. So personally, people always need a place to live. We're not building enough. I think we're becoming a renter's nation, not just in California. So I think you always have to stick to your fundamentals. First off, I guess you have to figure out what those fundamentals are. And then once you figure them out, you really need to stick to them, because this is the point. The market is heating up. And even though it's going to be harder to find home runs, you can still get some, some good deals. You can still make money, but you can't fall into the trap of, outbidding yourself and winning via paying the highest price when the numbers don't even work for you. So I think it's always a good time to buy, but you also have to just be very careful not to follow the crowd right now, and to just stick to your numbers and what you know.
Question, what do you guys predict the next 3 to 5 years to look like in the multi-residential world? Even not taking Florida into account, just your home nucleus area of San Diego, California. What's your perception on that?
If you take San Diego, I always say we have we have the four walls. We call, you know, we have Camp Pendleton, we have the ocean, we have the mountains, and we have Mexico. So you're landlocked. And let's be honest, most people really, they want to live in a certain core area. So I think like if you take a place like San Diego, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to get any cheaper. Out of all of California, I think a lot of people want to live there. The weather's nice. It's not LA or San Francisco. It's not crazy big. There is more and more and more opportunities as the city grows. But overall, I always tell people, look, even take California, when you come to the state, whether you just moved there, you're college, whatever, it's expensive, and entry level to buy a home is expensive. So I don't know what the average is, but if a kid comes there for college and stays, he's probably a renter for 10 years.
Wow.
So the other thing is that nobody really is building apartments. And the only thing they're building is kind of luxury. So, and not everybody can afford that. So, and the other problem is we have no land. So it's kind of this perfect storm. So I think what's happening is, you know, let's look at the positives and negatives. The negatives are California, they're really trying to crack down on rent control and things like that, almost like trying to control what you do. I don't know how far they're going to make it or successful, because it really, that's not the solution. The solution really is more affordable housing, and just kind of get out of the way of builders and let them build and not over-regulate and basically like have a noose around their neck. But I think when you look beyond that, is that those are some negatives, but the positives is that there's just a lot of opportunity, because there's a lot of people that own, people forget, the people that own real estate are probably more 60s and 70s and 80s. And the next 3 to 5 years, as we're in the business, a lot of people are passing, and they're passing these properties on to people that want them or don't want them. So there's an opportunity to come in and take a poor running asset and put money into it and make it nicer. So there's a lot of gentrification going on in all these neighborhoods. So I just see prices going up. I see rents going up, but I also see that, you know, we'll see how it goes with the rent control and stuff, like how, if that's going to slow some of that down. But overall, I still think San Diego is always going to be a good market to be in, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity. And I just think that city, as I've been there for 20 years, it just still has so much growth to it. And when you look at a place like LA or San Francisco along the coast, and you come down to San Diego, people go, wow, like the bang for buck here for what you get. Like people that go, I'm in Beverly Hills, and they look in Rancho Santa Fe, they're like, man, the same house in Beverly Hills is 30 million, down here it's 8 million. Like this is crazy. So that stuff's kind of happening too. So I just think overall you're going to have a lot of opportunity and a lot of wins. And if you're a long-term holder in San Diego, like if you buy and you could just hold for 10, 20 years, you're going to crush it, because that's really the name of the game.
We tend to invest in more workforce housing as well, like C neighborhoods, C properties. And those, you know, fortunately or unfortunately, those people, the majority of those people are renters for life. So I think if you stick within, like, you know, the B- to C+ asset class, you really can't lose. There's always going to be a need for that type of affordable housing.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think your predictions are obviously it's only my opinion, but I think you're spot on. And we all know that obviously investing in real estate with rents coming up, that's the only thing that we can offset inflation with. And the only thing that, as you guys were, telling us these valuable, tips, I was kind of thinking, how does an investor that, again, looking to move up from the residential to the higher multifamily, and then someone that's already buying multifamily, someone that's got a whole bunch of projects, with so many projects potentially not producing the income that you're looking to receive, how do you really manage your money? When you underwrite a property, I know that as a lender, we typically want to see reserves, let's say 6 months, 9 months. As a multifamily apartment building owner, and if you have a few of them in your portfolio and you potentially are not receiving certain rent, or you have to, convert and turn over that specific project, I'm assuming you're being more conservative, but how does one really, really manage their money in order to make that jump? And if they've made that jump, how do they stay there in order to not get messed up when all of a sudden, let's say 30% of the tenants are not paying and you're not able to get them out.
Yeah, that can be challenging. I mean, I think luckily for us, we don't know anybody who was in that position in San Diego. I've heard a few stories, but for example, our properties, we have a 30 unit in San Diego and National City area, and we had maybe 3 tenants who got behind, and then they all paid up. They were all on payment plans. We communicated with them. We had a good relationship with them. So I think for one, you have to have a good relationship with your tenants. And work with them. And what I have learned throughout this whole process, the reason why the majority of our clients have been successful is that they were super helpful with the tenants. Here's, links to how to go get rental assistance, what kind of payment plan, let me help you out with filling out forms, doing different things. So I've seen that happen. I think in terms of managing your money, I mean, worst case scenario, you do have to contact your bank and see what they can do to help you out with your payments. Like I said, I haven't really seen anybody who've done that. I've heard of and known a lot of people who've done it when they didn't really need to. But for the most part, I think that's a good strategy. And as far as making that jump, I mean, we made the jump because we traded up. So right now the market is really hot. It's obviously a great time to sell, but then it's like, oh, now I have that stress of figuring out what to buy, especially if you're going to do the 1031 exchange. But the way for you to grow is really to trade up. It's that BRRR method. We did that. We bought, we raised the rent, we renovated, we refinanced, and then we sold it and did it all over again. So we started with a home, and now we own, a 30 unit building. We have a 4 unit vacation rental. We have some industrial properties as well. So I think that's the way, is kind of that trade up method. And that's going to be the easiest way for you to make that transition. I mean, for me personally, I've also learned, if I have a 4-plex and one person leaves, I'm 25% vacant. If I have a 10 unit and one person leaves, I'm only 10%. So I'm probably still, high likelihood, I actually still have cash flow coming in when one person vacates my 10 unit. And your 4-plex, definitely not, no chance. So I'm always ditch the residential, trade out of that, and go into apartments where you have more economies of scale and you have more people paying your mortgage on a pro rata basis, and you still have cash flow when there's vacancy.
Amazing stuff, you guys, really. I mean, amazing information. It's, again, we've been in real estate for over a few decades. You guys have been doing this for a while. And this information that on your podcast, I've seen you're also sharing it on the cash flow game. I really urge all listeners to, really pay attention, because this is really good stuff. I mean, honestly, when you talk about getting a cheat book in order to know what to do, just like you said, the BRRR, all you got to do is follow it. You just got to follow the plan and do what it takes in order to get to your exit plan and, hopefully achieve financial freedom and the residual income that that specific individual needs in order to do what they want to do. So I thank you guys. I thank you very much for sharing your wisdom, your experiences. And like I said, keep up the good work. And I look forward to hopefully doing some sort of a deal with you guys, maybe some sort of a syndication. You never know. Everybody's looking for passive income, residual income. Keep up the good work and enjoy Florida.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We will.